By the way, we know that vaccines are killing people of color, blacks, Latinos, indigenous people at about 2 times the rate of white Americans.
What did you just say?
What did you just say? There's mothers, fathers,
Sons and daughters,
aunts and uncles. What was going to be put there for you and another 40 million Californians to read was ivermectin. It's for animals. It's not for human treatment. The purpose of that particular website posting was to dissuade people from using ivermectin because they can poison themselves. I looked at that email and I had a choice to just let it go and not respond or do something. What are they going to do to me when I send them this email? I felt God say, what am I going to do to you if you don't? When my deputy director saw that I wasn't going to be quiet, that I was kept talking smack, she was telling media teams to supervisor, shut down the call, shut down the call, shut down the call, shut down the call. I was still talking and the call was shut down while I was in mid-sentence. I just felt like if I had stayed at CDPH, I would have been complicit with allegedly committed crimes against humanity because Californians needed to know that there was information that was being withheld from them. There's a principle called informed consent. It was a depopulation agenda.
Now, the world today has 6.8 billion people. That's headed up to about 9 billion. Now, if we do a really great job on new vaccines, healthcare, reproductive health services, we could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%. We could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%. We could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%.
Ronald Owens Jr. is a state civil servant retiree and the California Department of Public Health whistleblower, where he worked almost 15 years, from 2009 to 2023. Mr. Owens is a Bachelor of Arts in Government and Journalism from California State University Sacramento. Ronald wrote a book called Muzzled Truth: How the California Department of Public Health Rejected COVID-19 Treatment and Vaccine Health Risks Warnings. He is here to present the timeline of what happened to him as a CDPH Information Officer in Sacramento. Ronald is a man of God, and he accepted Jesus Christ as his Lord and Savior in 1968. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you, Paulo.
Thank you for coming from Sacramento. It was a long drive, but thank you for being here.
Well, it's very important that I share this with your audience, so thank you for having me.
Please tell me, you served the California Department of Public Health. What exactly did you do at your job?
Basically, as an information officer or a public information officer, the job of a PIO is to be the liaison between the media and program staff. So, for example, we get queries, mid-requests, asking us or the California Department of Public Health about public health issues. And so my job and the job of my colleagues was to work with the media, reporters, broadcast journalists, investigative reporters, work with them, get their questions, and then work with program staff in developing a response or arranging interviews or preparing talking points or arranging press conferences. So that's what the job of a public information officer.
Almost like a press secretary to the White House.
Exactly.
What happened that you got to this whistleblower status? What did you see exactly?
Well, I saw two major things, and this is what my Muzzled Truth book is about. In October of 2021, I was the recipient of an email. There were several people that received an email from the Deputy Director for the Center for Environmental Health. And on that email chain was the Director of the California Department of Public Health, Dr. Tomas Argon, the Assistant Director, Christine Theodore, 3 Deputy Directors, Assistant Deputy Directors, a couple of, one Section Chief and Analyst, and myself. And as a Public Information Officer, as I noted when you asked what does a PIO do, and I indicated that a PIO works with program staff. Well, one of my program staff assignments was to work with the Center for Environmental Health. So the email that I received in October of 2021 was to solicit feedback from me, my immediate supervisor, my deputy director, and all other parties who were the recipient of that email. And that particular solicitation for opinion was to review what was going to be put on the California Department of Public Health website. And essentially, what was going to be put there for you and another 40 million Californians to read was ivermectin. It's for animals. It's not for human treatment. And the purpose of that particular website posting was to dissuade people from using ivermectin because they can poison themselves. Part of what that particular directive is true. If you do not use the kind of ivermectin and the proper not dosage, it can harm you. But I knew, having listened to several subject matter experts, that properly dosed ivermectin can cure COVID. So, Apollo, I had a choice. I looked at that email and I had a choice to just let it go and not respond or do something. If I had to let it go and not respond, I would have been complicit in lying. There's two kinds of lying. Lying by commission. Hey, I didn't eat the apple. That's like lying by commission. Or lying by omission. You asked me, did you eat the apple? And I said, hey, this is a nice day outside. That's lying by omission. So basically, if I had have not responded to that email, I would have been lying by omission. What I did was I did some research. I found that in December of 2020, Wisconsin Senator Ron Johnson, he held a hearing, and Dr. Pierre Corey was featured in that hearing, December of 2020. And Dr. Corey said, look, I've treated more than 8,000 people with properly dosed ivermectin. Ivermectin is relatively cheap and expensive. It has a very good success rate. This can be used to treat COVID-19.
And it was sold over the counter?
I believe it was, yes. Okay, so that was the most important discovery. And for the next few days, I composed an email. And that was the most important email that I had written throughout the course of my career in state service.
But before that, you received that email, and was there any data that they relied on that ivermectin can kill you, or basically it's for animals, for horses?
I don't remember the specificity of the email from the deputy director, but it's just basically to dissuade Californians from taking it.
Not relying on any scientific data at all?
As far as I can remember, I don't remember any scientific data indicated in an email. And I think the reason why, and you ask a very good question, is because, as I indicated, I had already heard that properly dosed ivermectin can cure COVID, that the person who discovered ivermectin was awarded some sort of Nobel Peace Prize or something.
Yeah, he got it.
And also, it was used to cure some sort of river sickness. It had a very high success rate. So I was mainly focused on the positives rather than focusing on the downside. I didn't, quite frankly, see a downside because with the subject matter experts who were saying, look, we need to use ivermectin to cure COVID, they were basically touting its success. Hence, that's why Dr. Pierre Corey was before Senator Ron Johnson's committee. Okay, so I drafted an email. I ran it through several eyes, people that I respect. I remember an attorney from Washington, D.C. was among them. A couple of people who were the directors of communication shops in state service. And as a man of faith, as a Christian, I also led a couple of people who were people who knows about God and about prayer, and I wanted their spiritual Christian perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I wrote the email and I sent it. I replied all because I wanted all eyes who were the original recipients of that email, including the director and the assistant director, to read it. I kind of felt, Apollo, that when I sent it, I felt the shock waves throughout the department because I had the temerity to speak truth to power.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like they really didn't want that information to be shared amongst all of the recipients. And I was going against departmental policy. So their response was, look, number one, you're not a doctor.
Okay.
I didn't pretend that I was, you know. Number two, CDPH does not prove treatment. That's under the province of the FDA or the Food and Drug Administration.
Mm-hmm.
And my reaction to that when I read that, Apollo, was this. We have an emergency here. We have a public health emergency. We need to think out of the box, and we shouldn't be deferring to the feds, headquartered 3,000 miles away across the continent. We need to figure out how we can treat COVID-19 locally. But they didn't see that way. And my job as a public information officer was to present information to my management so they can make good decisions. Unfortunately, the decision was focused on the process mainly than whether ivermectin can treat COVID. And it can, but that's not what they were focused on. They were focused on the messenger.
What exactly did you write in that email in response?
I didn't respond to what they sent.
You emailed board director and his assistant. What did you write?
Basically, that number one, properly dose ivermectin can cure COVID. Number two, this is Dr. Pierre Corey. This is his work. And I cited his credentials, who he was, how many people he treated, more than 8,000,
right,
many of whom were blacks, Latinos, people of color.
How does it matter what skin color it is?
Well, basically, he was working in a hospital that was servicing inner city patients. So that's why that's why he made note of that when he testified before Wisconsin Senator Ron Johnson committee.
Also, it's better if you treat Latinos and blacks?
Well, he was working at an inner city hospital.
Okay.
So that's why he said, I treated a lot of people, and many of whom were people of color, because I worked at this particular inner city hospital.
Mm-hmm.
The specifics of all this information, by the way, is on my muzzledtruth.com website.
All the links are going to be in the description, guys.
Okay, there's a 62-page PDF, and everyone can read that October 13th, October 14th, 2021 email and the response back to my management. Answering your question, I also stated in that email who the other physicians working with Dr. Corey. And when you're writing something and you have a series of doctors, Dr. Jane Doe, John Doe, Fred Doe, Federico Doe. You just say doctors, and you name off all those people, the doctors. But I wanted to punctuate all of those individuals that I cited in the email. So I rather than just writing one doctor and all 4 names or 5 or 6 names that I indicated in that email, I say Dr. Jane Doe, Dr. John Doe, Dr. Fred Doe. I wanted to punctuate and emphasize and accentuate that these are all doctors, credible people. I can see my audience was a doctor, Dr. Tomas Aragon. My audience, the guy who sent the email, he had a doctor, as I recall, in some sort of veterinary medicine. And so my audience were doctors, and then there were some lay persons too. And I felt like I had to really emphasize their medical credentials.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The email also indicated, okay, I believe in just doing the right thing, Apollo. But I know that people who are appointed to those political positions by the governor, they're political animals. And so I appealed to their self-interest. I indicated, you guys can make yourself look good, and I'm paraphrasing, by taking the state lead, the national lead, indeed the international lead to fighting COVID. Just think how you guys can make yourself look good. I mean, I shouldn't have to play that card. People should do the right thing because it's just the right thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
But I did indicate that point in the email as well.
Okay, what followed next?
Okay, so I remember the next day we had a staff meeting, and we were all working at home at this time. And the deputy director was not there at that staff meeting.
Staff meeting was over the Zoom?
It was over Zoom. They call it Teams, but in essence, it's like a Zoom call. Mm-hmm. And so the deputy director said, we're going to have a short staff meeting. The deputy director is not here, and so you guys have a good day. Apollo, I just felt like the powers that be were meeting behind closed doors, discussing my email, and that's why the deputy director wasn't there that day. Later on that day, I got the email back. Oh, by the way, before I make that point, one of the recipients of that email sent me an email back to me and said, thumbs up, thank you.
Hmm.
So that was comforting to know that there was somebody else who
if you're not
kind of gave a hat tip, a silent applause for me speaking truth to power. Okay, so hours later on the next day, toward the evening or late afternoon, that's when I got the response from my assistant deputy. Thank you for your email, but next time you have a question about CDPH COVID policy, run it by your supervisor. They didn't like the fact that I included the director. That's why he said that. And also he said that, as I said earlier, you're not a doctor. CDPH is not in a position to approve treatment. That's left up to the FDA. Have a nice day.
Hmm. No.
So that was the first episode or incident where I spoke truth to power. The next incident happened 6 months later. I was on social media, as we all are, and there is a social media platform called Telegram. And I just go to Telegram just to find out information, what's going on. You know, the mainstream media is reporting this and so, but I like to know what's going on, you know, what people are exchanging information about. I accidentally found, I don't know where I found it, where Department of Health and Human Services Secretary Xavier Becerra, He was appearing on a White House virtual convening on equity summit. And in that summit, 44, almost 45 minutes into that summit, he was talking about the COVID-19 vaccine, and he said, quote, "We know these vaccines are killing people of color, blacks, Latinos, indigenous people at about 2 times the rate of white Americans." Apollo, when I heard that,
He said that?
he actually said that.
Why?
Why?
Yeah.
Quality data, better collection methodology, so we could actually figure out where we needed to go rather than wait for you to come to us. Secondly, by having better data, we could do a couple of things. Vaccines, a year ago today, by the way, we know that vaccines are killing people of color, blacks, Latinos, indigenous people at about 2 times the rate of white Americans. So on vaccines last year, we saw that about 2/3 of white American adults had received at least 1 shot of the vaccine.
That's a question that somebody has to ask him. Quite naturally, I asked why. I had to rewind it and play that over and over and over again. And after reversing it a minute or so behind that particular mark where he said it, he was clearly talking about the COVID-19 vaccine. He was clearly, that was the context. He says, "I know these vaccines are killing people."
Especially blacks, indigenous, and Latinos?
Blacks, Latinos, indigenous people at about 2 times the rate of white Americans. When I share that with an all-white audience, I share it with them, say, look, if you analyze Becerra's quote, he said, quote, "We know these vaccines are killing people, period.
Period. That's it.
I don't care what color you are."
Right.
But he said blacks, Latinos, indigenous people at 2 times the rate of white Americans. Okay. I reviewed that video many times since then. And by the way, it's still on the White House's YouTube channel.
So it's not fake, it's not AI.
No, it's still there. It has not, it's part of the public record. It has not been retracted. It's still there. Okay, so I looked at the reaction of the people in the room virtually.
Mm-hmm.
There was the Secretary for their Housing and Urban Development, Marsha Fudge. She was in the room, a black woman, by the way. Solana Young, a budget advisor, policy advisor, I don't remember her title, another black woman. Susan Rice, she was close to President Obama. She was also in the room, another black woman. And then they had an interpreter. She was white. And I when I played it back many times, Apollo, I looked at their body language. Nobody looked shocked. Nobody had a surprised look on their face. No one kind of indicated, wait a minute, Secretary Becerra.
What did you just say?
What did you just say? Did you misspeak?
Yes.
Would you like to back that up and sit, can you expand on that?
Yeah.
Nobody had that kind of reaction.
So it's either A, they were not listening to him, or B, they knew it?
That's a good question. I suspect, and I'm careful to state this, but there's a book called The Pfizer Papers by Dr. Naomi Wolf
Never heard of it.
and Amy Kelly. And in the development of that particular book, they learned that there were some people in the administration who knew back in 2021 that the vaccines were killing people. I don't know about blacks, Latinos, indigenous people at 2 times the rate of white Americans, but they knew. And Rochelle Walensky, who was in charge of the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, she knew. And I talked to Amy Kelly, who worked with Dr. Naomi Wolf with this Pfizer Papers, And we exchanged text more than a year ago because I asked specifically, did Javier Becerra, is there any email indication that Javier Becerra also knew that these vaccines, and they, at that time when I asked that question more than a year ago, the response was, we don't know. I suspect so, because otherwise, why would he say that?
But that was prior to the vaccine rollout or after?
He said this on April 14th, 2022.
Was it the
So it was after the vaccine rollout. The emails where Rochelle Walensky and others in the administration knew that the vaccines were killing people was in 2021, a year before. So.
Okay, so what did you do? When you heard that, you were
After the
shocked.
shock wore off,
Okay.
you know, I wrote another email, and basically I pulled the email that I drafted included the link, the YouTube link from the White House's YouTube channel that had that Becerra quote. I indicated the timestamp in that email, and I went to the Vaccine Adverse Event Reporting System, theirs,
Yes.
and that basically shows data regarding all vaccines, but the particular link that I shared had to do with the COVID-19 vaccine. And in that particular, so this is April of 2022, there were more than 26,000 people across the United States who died after taking the COVID-19 vaccine, according to theirs. And then there's a whole list of 10 categories, a lot of multisyllabic medical terms, but phrases that we can understand or terms that we can understand are people getting strokes, heart attacks, seizures, sudden deaths, Bell's palsy. Those are 4 or 5 categories that I listed, and in theirs it indicates how many thousands of people who were injured in each of those categories.
Mm-hmm.
So I sent that email to my deputy director and my assistant deputy director. I didn't want to appear insubordinate. The information needed to be known by everyone that was on the recipient list of that Ivermectin email months before, but I didn't want to make it about the messenger and me being insubordinate, so I did what I was told. I had an issue about COVID-19 policy, so I went up my chain of command. And I advised them, strongly urged them, that the directorate, Dr. Tomas Aragon, Christine Theodore, need to be made aware of this alarming information. I recommended that Dr. Mark Ghali, he was the secretary for the state Health and Human Services Agency. In other words, Dr. Ghali here in California was Javier Becerra's equivalent. Becerra is with the feds,
Mm-hmm.
Ghali's with state of California. I also strongly urged them to alert Governor Gavin Newsom and his people. And I sent that email, and a couple of hours later, I got a response from my boss. Thank you for your email, Ron.
Period.
Period.
That's it.
That's it. Apollo, I don't know whether my boss took the information seriously. Did she file it electronically? Did she alert Dr. Aragon in the director's office, or Dr. Mark Ghali at agency, or Gavin Newsom? And she used to work for Gavin Newsom, by the way. My deputy director was one of his, you know what, let me rephrase that. No, she worked for Jerry Brown. Okay, I needed to correct myself.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad that I corrected myself. So her name was known in the gubernatorial universe. You know what I'm saying?
For more than a decade.
Yeah, because she had worked for Jerry Brown as his, I believe, deputy press secretary before Newsom came on. So her name was, they knew her.
Mm-hmm.
So again, whether she alerted them or not, or agency alerted the governor's office or not, I don't know. All I do know is I did my job, and the response that I got, it angered me, it saddened me, it depressed me, all kind of emotions, because it's like we have a serious situation here, and no one is doing anything about it. So this happened in April 12, 2022. 6 months later, I had been listening to some of these subject matter experts during the interim, and they were talking about the increase of strokes and sudden deaths and heart attacks and Bell's palsy, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I wanted to revisit the issue. So as I indicated, in April of 2022, there were more than 26,000 people who died across the United States. And by the way, the data that is indicated in VAERS, it's essentially data on the low end.
Mm-hmm.
I understand you add a couple of zeros to 26,000.
Couple
of zeros. That's probably what the real picture is. So
Not even one, but two.
2 zeros. So 26,000 and
2.6 million?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Matter of fact, I'll digress. Some credible subject matter experts who have a lot more titles after their name than I do, they say that the worldwide low-end estimate are 17 million people have died from COVID-19 vaccine worldwide. 17 million. So back to October 2022, I revisited the issue. I stated that there was an increase from more than 26,000 people who have died from the COVID-19 vaccine in April of 2022 to more than 31,000 people who have died in October of 2022, an increase of 5,000 or 6,000. And when I say 5,000 or 6,000, it's a very casual way, but those are people.
Right.
There's mothers, fathers,
Sons and daughters,
aunts and uncles. And
even if it's homeless, who cares? It's a human being.
It's a human being. All right, so they weren't pleased with that email. But before I say that, let me say this. As I've indicated, I'm a man of faith. I've been a Christian for most of my life. And I was raised to do the right thing, to do the godly thing. And God commands us as Christians to do the right thing. And so I had already sent the email in October of 2021 regarding ivermectin.
Mm-hmm.
I'd already sent the email in April of 2022 regarding, we know these vaccines are killing people. And so I remember before I sent that third email in October of 2022, before I clicked send, I walked outside, sun was setting, I looked at the sky and said, Lord, what are they going to do to me when I send them this email? Because I'm already on thin ice with management anyway.
Persona non grata.
Because, yeah. And so you know what? I felt God tell me in my spirit,
Do it.
when I said, what am I going to do? What are they going to do to me when I send them this email? I felt God say, what am I going to do to you if you don't? And when I felt that in my spirit, Apollo, I think I need to have a fear of God in that man.
Amen.
So the response from management was, we received your email. If you want to be familiar with what our policy is regarding how we're fighting COVID-19, here's an internet link. we're not going to receive any more. Stop sending us these emails. And I'm paraphrasing, but stop sending these emails, this information, like I said, if on our website, if you need to know what our policy is. And we're concerned that you're using state time and state resources to do research. That was a veiled threat. And Apollo and I read that, and I looked at it, and I talked to my family about it. I thought about maybe I should protect myself by going ahead and file a complaint. I queried the Office of Civil Rights. I've been away from state service for almost 2 years. I forgot the name of the official office, but I think it's OCR, whatever. And I prayed and asked God, should I go ahead and file a complaint? Because I felt like I was on grounds. I was doing my job. Matter of fact, in the emails that I sent in April of 2022, in October of 2022, and I think even in October of 2021, the information that I'm providing, the research that I did, is part of my job description. And I cited that chapter and verse. So I decided not to file a complaint in October of 2022 or later on in November or December, because there were several weeks sending emails back and forth to that Office of Civil Rights office. I decided not to file a complaint because I didn't want it to be about the messenger. It's about the message. Plus, I didn't want to come across like I'm an angry black man, that optic. So I just felt led of the Lord just to sort of like, don't do anything. So from October of 2022 to January, to February, to March, April, and I've been listening to some of these credible subject matter experts who were censored, deplatformed. Some of their licenses have been removed. People genuinely care about humanity, and they don't want to put their license above humanity, but yet you can't practice medicine without the license. So they were feeling a certain kind of way. Okay, so there was a staff meeting in August of 2023 on Teams or Zoom. Mm-hmm. We hold staff meetings with the media team every afternoon. And the California Globe sent us some questions asking us whether there have been any adverse reactions to people taking the COVID-19 vaccine. So there was a discussion, whoever was handling that particular media request, how to respond to that. Again, I had a choice of just sitting there and remaining silent or saying something. And at that point in time, feelings of depression, anger, exasperation were welling inside of me. And Apollo, I just had to say something. So I said, I raised my hand or got the intention to speak. And I said, I want to share something what's on my heart. And then I proceeded to quote what Becerra said. We know these vaccines are killing people of color, blacks, Latinos, indigenous people at about 2 times the rate of white Americans. I wasn't eloquent then as I was now in reciting what Becerra said, because the deputy director, she told me to stop talking. She said, we already resolved this. And I wouldn't stop talking. I just kept talking. In the black community, we call that talking smack. Okay. You probably see it, on the basketball court or the baseball, whatever. I mean, the person is talking and you're just talking too, and both are talking. And I just was not going to be muzzled. That's why my book is called Muzzled Truth. And I wanted my colleagues to hear what Becerra said. And I don't remember, I don't think that I was as effective as I would have liked to have been effective in communicating all this. But I do remember saying, that what Becerra said is on the White House official YouTube channel. So my colleagues knew that I wasn't making this up. I wanted to get that out there. When my deputy director saw that I wasn't going to be quiet, that I was kept talking smack, she was telling the media team supervisor to shut down the call, shut down the call, shut down the call, shut down the call. And I was still talking, and the call was shut down while I was in mid-sentence. I got an email minutes later, basically reprimanding me, but not officially, of what I did. And then weeks later, I got what you call a counseling memorandum. And basically it was for me to be respectful of my bosses, to be kind, stop sharing my personal beliefs.
Personal beliefs.
Yes.
Okay.
So the information that Becerra said
Is your
that's
personal
my
belief.
personal belief.
Okay.
All the data regarding the 26,000 people who've died from the COVID-19 vaccines, my personal belief. 31,000 people died 6 months later, my personal belief. So another thing too, they said that if they're going to put this counseling memorandum in my personnel file. And if I behave within a year, I can petition to have that particular document removed from my personnel file.
What is that, a kindergarten?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what it sounds like. It really does. And they were actually setting it up for me to be disciplined more severely, where they probably would have docked my pay. Because I heard through the grapevine, that's what they wanted to do to begin with. But because I felt like the reason why they wanted to do that was they're really angry, particularly my deputy director, that I was a thorn in their side. So I knew that I was not going to be quiet for the next year. I knew something would have happened. I would have said something. And Apollo, I also felt like, although I was earning good money working for the state, I was the most tenured person working for the Office of Public Affairs. Anybody in the department, OPA, and Ron Owens' name, his face, because I was there since March 2nd, 2009. I just felt like if I had stayed at CDPH, I would have been complicit with allegedly committed crimes against humanity, because Californians needed to know that there was information that was being withheld from them. There's a principle called informed consent. If you want to take the vaccine, that's your prerogative. But it's the ethical and moral responsibility of public health officials, doctors, pharmacists, to share with those people that there are risks. And you and 40 million other Californians were not provided that information. And that's the job of a public information office, is to provide information so people can make decisions for themselves. Okay, so I prematurely retired on December 31st, 2023, and I immediately incurred a 55% pay cut. That's the difference between my salary and my pension. I share that not to toot my horn, but I would not have risked a great paying job. I wanted to stay there longer to increase my pension, Plus, I kind of generally liked what I was doing. I liked the people I was working with. And it was a good job. It's a great job. It was the best job that I had up to that point. So I wrote my Muzzled Truth book in the fall of 2023, released it in early 2024, set up a muzzledtruth.com website, and I spoke to small groups between January and April and May of 2024. I met the Sacramento County Board of Supervisors Sue Frost. She's a very heroic woman because she was calling out the COVID-19 vaccine risk way before I did. she was doing this 2, 3, 4 years. This is 2023, about 2, 3 years before.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know specific, but she was probably the first politician, not only in California, but the United States, who went on record. And she was basically pilloried by the press, you know? Anyway, I met her in April of 2024. We sat down on my birthday, May 15th, 2024, at a restaurant there in Citrus Heights. I remember the date because it was my birthday. And we exchanged notes, and I said, I'm going to come to your Board of Supervisor where I live, Sacramento County, and speak before your Board of Supervisors. And that's what I did, I believe, on May 21st. And if you go to my Muzzled Truth 1 on X, you see me standing there, and there's some people behind me. And there's a woman to the right. She kind of have a reddish, purplish hair, dyed hair. She prayed for me right before I took the walked up to the rostrum. So that's the very first time that I spoke to a Board of Supervisor, and I shared with them in 2 minutes on matters not on the agenda who I was and what Becerra said. And I can see the shocked look on the face of the supervisors. Sue Frost knew that I was coming. Her other 4 colleagues did not. And I remember sitting to the left were like the brass, the high-ranking Sacramento County Board of Staff, the county administrative officer and the legal counsel, all the top people. And I remember looking at them, and I could see that they had a shocked look on their face. You know, they had a poker face, but I can see that the information that I shared was alarming.
They were shocked by the information, by the fact, or by the fact that you spoke up?
I think by the information.
Okay.
And I just happen to be the best messenger because I'm this 6'2" black guy who worked at California Department of Public Health for more than 14 years. And I'm saying that these COVID-19 vaccines are killing people of color, you know? So I went back 2, 3 times more and shared additional information with the Sacramento County Board of Supervisors. And I'm thinking, you know what? I think I need to write all this down in a official document so it can be part of the Sacramento County public record. And that's what I did. So I sent them all this information in writing that I had verbally shared 3 or 4 times on the same topic, but in different angles. And after I sent them that PDF on July 23rd, 2024, and that particular copy of that PDF is on my muzzledtruth.com website as well, I had the idea, I think I should probably alert all the Board of Supervisors across California. So I created 57 separate documents and addressed it to each Board of Supervisor across California. I went to 57 websites, copied all their email address, pasted in the Notes app of my iPad. It took about 4 or 5 days, the last week of July of 2024, when there was an error on a document that I saw. I had to make 56 other corrections, and I had to do that, I believe, 4 times. So there were a total of 224 corrections that I made on that particular phase of the operation. I have been working in communications, putting together newspapers. In addition to my Muzzled Truth book, I've rewritten 10% of the Bible in newspaper format. I've written 5 Bible-based books. My experience is that mistakes are made in the correcting phase of the product that you're putting out. So I was very, very careful that not to make any mistakes. But after I sent all those emails out, I found a mistake. But it is what it is. Yeah. After I sent out the written notification to all 57 Board of Supervisors on July 29th of 2024 and Sacramento County Board of Supervisors 6 days prior, I had this idea that the Lord impressed on me. I need to go out and appear in person as a follow-up to what I sent in writing. So I went to neighboring San Joaquin County and Stockton first, and then I went to 49 other counties throughout the state of California. I'll be appearing before my 51st county tomorrow. It's probably a 2.5-hour ride from here. And I'm this guy who got this Can-Am motorcycle, 2 tires in front, 1 tire in back motorcycle. I just had envisions of riding on a weekend with other riders, enjoying life. I didn't think that I was going to be riding all over California on my Can-Am Spyder motorcycle.
You're such a pain in the ass. It's incredible.
Thank you. Yeah. So, but I love humanity. And the reason why that I am going from county to county, the reason why that I wrote that particular email and PDF to all the counties, provide written notification, appearing in person, is because the California Department of Public Health has a relationship with all 58 counties through the county health officer, through the county public information officers. So even though I retired on December 31st, 2023, my oath as an information officer did not expire when I retired. So I'm doing what the California Department of Public Health should have done in April of 2022, could now do on the day of this recording by sending out a quick email blast to the county health officers, to the county public information officers, indicating to them that these vaccines are killing people. Or they don't want to be that graphic, I would. They could say these vaccines are not safe and effective for everyone. At least they should do that. And in the email, I cite Health and Safety Code 101025, which states that the Board of Supervisors shall do everything within their power, I'm paraphrasing that part, to preserve and protect the public health. And I urge them in the written notification, I'm urging them in my follow-up in-person appearance, that to direct their county health officers to stop promoting, stop administering, and stop distributing the COVID-19 vaccine. After my in-board appearance, I also provide another written notification. So when my mission is done, and as of right now, I've got 8 more Board of Supervisor appearances to go, mostly all in Southern California, because I completed my Northern California appearance at Trinity County a couple weeks ago. And by the way, I need to note that Butte County resident Judy Threet, she is vaccine injured. She has been beating the drum along with her friend Dinah Dries in Butte County. She started traveling with me when I appeared before her Board of Supervisors of Butte County. I believe that was October 8th of 2024. So she and I have been going from county to county. She's gone to 33 counties as of now, and I've gone to 50 counties. So
out of 50 counties, when you met them face to face, what did they tell you? Thank you for information?
You know, some Board of Supervisors have. There's a Board of Supervisor in Del Norte County, Crescent City, way up north. Mm-hmm. That's almost close to the Oregon border. I remember making my comment. I wanted to talk to the sheriff of that county, and he stepped out. So I followed him. And so Del Norte County and I, sheriff, we were talking. And this particular board supervisor member came out, and he thanked me for coming, for bringing the information that I brought, And basically, he felt like the COVID-19 vaccine was dangerous, and he appreciated me validating that. I've gotten positive feedback from El Dorado County, Lassen County in Susanville.
Have you ever changed at least one person's opinion on the vax?
I don't know. That's a good question. And my intent was, and always is to influence the local elected officials to stop promoting, administering, and distributing COVID-19 vaccine. Thus far, the only county that's had a public airing of the issue is Shasta County. Shasta County Supervisor Chair Kevin Crye, C-R-Y-E. Matter of fact, if people go to my muzzledtruth.com website and click on the Rumble, there are some videos of my appearances and my post wrap-up analysis, because all of the counties and the faces and chambers begin to run together after a while, and I do these post analysis to remember what I said, who was there, kind of like a little, what do you call it, blog? That way, yeah. So back to Kevin Crye. If people click on the Rumble channel, a button on my muzzledtruth.com, there's a Kevin Crye interview. Matter of fact, there's two versions of it. The first version, I don't know how to delete stuff on Rumble. Maybe I have to ask somebody to do that. But the first interview turned out sideways because I did a screen record, and I don't know how to. It appeared fine on my iPhone, but Rumble, I didn't acknowledge it. So the second, or the Kevin Crye interview at the top, is the one that's where it's the correct orientation. But yeah, Kevin Crye directed his county health officer, Dr. Moo, and his first name is eluding me right now. Dr. Moo presented the pros and cons of the COVID-19 vaccine in May at a public meeting. And you had some people who came up to the rostrum doing a public comment saying that COVID-19 vaccine is the best thing since sliced bread. And then you had some other people who said, no, it's not. And you know what? That's up people to make their own decision. I've got my strong personal beliefs, I've got my opinions. I think that they're poison. But if you want to take the vaccine, at least you have a right to know the risk. That's the issue, Apollo. That's the issue.
How do you feel about Trump saying a week ago that he has had his
I was disappointed.
and booster?
I was disappointed. But quite frankly, the reason why that we are in this situation with COVID and the protocols and the mask wearing and the social distancing and all this, stay at home, a lot of it, a majority of it, has to do with the feds dictating to the state and the state dictating to the counties. I really have not put much stock in President Trump or current Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. to outright stop the shots. I wish they would, but I really didn't put much faith that they would. We're in this issue because of the feds. So do we think, and I think it's naive, politically naive to think that those who are in charge of the federal government are going to curb their power. That's just my humble opinion about it. It's left up to us at the local level. And the local level that I reference is not the city or the county. The local level is our bodies. This is the local level. It starts with our bodies. It starts with our families. And then the local government officials. But no one has a right to tell you that you have to inject something in your body, and if you don't, you can't work, you can't shop, you can't visit your loved ones. I mean, and I should make this point. I represent a demographic. If I took the COVID-19 vaccine because of my pre-existing medical conditions, it could injure me or kill me, because in 2019, and there's a picture on my muzzledtruth.com website, I took a selfie in February of 2019. I was diagnosed having blood clots in both of my lungs. So when that diagnosis came in, I was immediately admitted in the ER room in February 2019 and was immediately treated with blood thinners. And I was on blood thinners for 6 to 8 months after that, and I'm fine now. I'm walking 5 miles a day, trying to stay healthy. So I appreciate the walk up the stairs and stuff. So I represent a demographic of people, if they take the vaccine, it could kill them. So you mean that you are telling me that I have to take something that could kill me, and if I don't take it, I can't eat, I can't shop, I can't work? That's just evil. That's just wrong.
I just wonder why so many people complied, and they said, yeah, this is a good thing if we restrict some people from those rights to go outside, to go to the restaurant, to go to groceries, to go to the gas station.
I think a lot of it has to do that the mainstream media, they were not doing their job. They made
they were,
well,
but not the job that
they're supposed to do.
Right.
You're right. Yeah. They were essentially, they made the job of a California Department of Public Health, Public Information Officer very easy. I noted the California Globe asking whether there were any adverse events from the COVID-19 vaccine. I don't remember any other publication, and I remember seeing a lot of the questions came in. It could have been the Epoch Times, maybe, but that's it. Your paper, the Los Angeles Times, and Dr. Patrick Soon-Sung, you probably have heard of him. He's the owner of the Los Angeles Times. His paper, the San Diego Union Tribune, the Orange County Register, Fresno Bee, Sacramento Bee, the Record Reading Searchlight in Reading, the Chico Enterprise Record. They were basically buying everything that the California Department of Public Health as gospel truth. The press is probably, it's protected by the First Amendment. It's a profession that's protected by the First Amendment.
The best thing about America is First Amendment.
Exactly.
Period.
Yeah.
And they were banning doctors, delicensing them, banning YouTube channels, banning Instagram influencers. They were just sharing the information. It's not their opinion. They weren't even sharing their own opinions. They were sharing some kind of a report of a doctor that saw what he saw with his own patients. Nope, banned, deplatformed.
Well, what I did, and the reason why that I was able to name off all those cities and the newspapers, between 1987 and 1992, I worked at the California Newspaper Publishers Association, CNPA. And so I knew all the publishers back in those days. I knew their newspaper properties. My job was to report back then on newspaper news. And so during that time, I also interacted with, professionally as well as in a friendly kind of way, with the California Broadcasters Association. So on my muzzledtruth.com website, I sent an email to the president and CEO of the California News Publishers Association. It was newspapers, but since a lot of publications are strictly online and they don't print newspapers, they dropped the paper and the news. So it's California News Publishers Association. And I said, look, Fred Champion II, I believe is his name. We have an issue here. We have a public health emergency. Your member newspapers, your member print members need to start covering all things COVID, but specifically the ills or the risk of the COVID-19 vaccine with factually. And people have a right to know, and your member newspapers are not providing them that information. I did the same thing with the California Broadcasters Association. I sent the CMPA letter or email to CMPA last December, coming up about a year ago. And again, people can go to my muzzledtruth.com website and read. It's almost like an open letter, but I specifically sent it to these people or to him and copied a lot of his staff, because that was my way of not only documenting that I sent it to him, but to let his staff know that if they're thinking about taking a booster, they may not want to. That was my way of providing them with informed consent.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, in January, earlier this year, I sent a similar a similar email to the California Broadcasters Association. And in both of those particular communiques, I referenced who I was and my personal involvement, my personal employment with CMPA, because I believe that when I was there, the guy who's the president and CEO, his father was a publisher back in the day, and I remember him. CBA, the Broadcasters Association, when we both worked all in the same building, the guy who's the president and CEO, he was like a staff level person. So he had been promoted since then. So I come from a very unique pedigree of California News Publishers Association and familiar with the California Broadcasters Association. So I posted both of those particular emails on my website so people can see what I sent CMPA last December and what I sent to CBA this past January.
Ronald, do you remember Isaiah chapter 6, verse 8?
No.
And then I heard the voice of the Lord saying, "Whom shall I send? Who will fight for us?" And I said, "Here I am. Send me."
Yeah.
You're the one.
Yeah.
We're going to those 50 counties?
58. I've got 8 more to go. Tomorrow will be 51st. And I don't know when your particular, this podcast will be posted, but I'll be out of town, out of state, matter of fact, for the next week or so. So I won't be going out. I'll be going out tomorrow. The next Tuesday I won't be going out, but the Tuesday after that. I think I can probably get 3 or 4 more in this year. And because usually when it gets to this time of year, Thanksgiving, it's just one big party. Just knocked over the book, by the way. Yeah, it's just one big party. And so because of that, a lot of board of supervisors may not be, they may not hold meetings, but I'll be able to finish up after the first of the year. And the counties that I have left as of now are San Luis Obispo, and that's tomorrow, Inyo County, Los Angeles, Orange, Riverside, San Diego, San Bernardino, Imperial. So most of all the counties are in the southern part of the state. And it seems like the last 8 counties is becoming more difficult than the first 50 because of the distance that I have to ride. At 68 years old, I'm on my motorcycle. I got to get off of it a couple of hours and stretch.
What's your main goal? Just for the public to know the truth?
Yeah.
The numbers?
Yeah, well,
Here is the thing, here's the possible side effects.
yeah. My main goal is, number one, to inform the board of supervisors, to persuade them to stop the COVID-19 shots. Number two, to inform the people that are watching in the chambers, watching remotely, watching on the replay. So I'm informing people. Can't depend on our public officials. We certainly can't depend on the mainstream media. Social media, that information is censored. So I'm just
I want
going
to say
out.
not anymore, actually.
Pardon me?
Not anymore. Social media does not censor anymore.
Well,
We're on YouTube, not even a strike, not
That's
even
good.
a foul. Instagram the same.
that's good. That's good to know.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was considering opening up. No, I don't want to lie. I said, I'm not going to open up a YouTube video because I knew it's going to be censored, but maybe I should. A YouTube channel.
Yeah, right now in 2025, I want to say you should.
Really?
Because we have a few interviews about the COVID vaccines and other vaccines in general. Monetized, not even
Good.
Yeah.
Because I've had no problems with my Rumble channel. I just think maybe I'm being shadow banned because I get maybe 10, 12 views per video.
There's nobody on Rumble. It's not the platform.
Ah.
I wish them the best, but I believe, especially right now when the YouTube has let's say changed their policies in regards to censoring people. In 2024 that started. The 2025 we're not being censored, I won't say at all.
Maybe I should open up a YouTube video.
Yeah, more people
channel.
yes, you're going to reach out to more people for sure.
Okay. All right.
So you've been a Christ follower since 1968,
Yes, sir.
when you were 11 years old.
Yes.
How come?
Well, great parents introduced me to the Lord when we were all young. My eldest sister, my younger brother, my younger sister. And I just followed the Lord throughout the years.
Were you baptized when you were 11?
I was about that age, yes. And I was privileged to go to Israel in 1995. And I was baptized in the River Jordan.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Where Jesus was baptized.
Yeah. So I just love the Lord, Apollo.
You were in a household where parents were religious? They were going to church?
Yeah. My dad was a professional musician. He played French horn in the Air Force Band. And he also conducted choirs at the chapel. That's what they call the church on a military installation. They call it a chapel.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have very fond childhood memories, singing in youth choir, going to Christmas services or Christmas Eve services, singing those Christmas carols. And also, we just grew up in the church. My parents, my dad, who's 93 today, at the recording of this podcast, he turned 93. And my mom, she went to heaven on June 13th, 2021. She was holding my dad's hand, and I'm holding her hand in my parents' bed, and that's how she went to heaven. So a very good mom, very great dad, and they just raised us up in the ways of God.
So you've been a follower of Christ for more than 50 years now.
Yes.
Would you say right now, percentage-wise, there are more Christians or less Christians? More Christ followers or less?
I think less.
Less, even though the information is widely accepted, I want to say, and you can reach out to almost everybody on social media.
And I'm specifically talking about the United States.
Right.
Elsewhere, I think it's more.
Oh, really?
I think in the African countries, the Christians over there are being persecuted so much.
Mm-hmm. Nigeria right now?
Yeah, the former Eastern Bloc countries, Lithuania, I'm sure that there is a lot of Christians. And when I say Christians, I'm including Catholics as well, because they do have a belief system that I have theological issues with, but they believe in Jesus.
So since I'm from post-USSR country, right? So I've been living in Lithuania 30 plus years. I've been to Ukraine multiple times. Poland. I want to say maybe not Poland, but my country, Lithuania, and other countries post-USSR. They're Christians, but most of them have never ever read a Bible in their lifetime.
Yeah.
So they just call themselves
It's a cultural
Christian. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, that guy. Jesus. Yeah. Cool. That's it.
Yeah.
They know nothing about Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Because we migrated to the U.S. when I was 35 years old. I'm 37 right now. So 2.5 years ago, and I've been doing podcasts in my home country since 2016. And for 30 plus years, I have never ever had a conversation about Jesus Christ with my friends, guests, just people that I met on the street. Never. It's not even a topic in Lithuania, in my country.
Well, then am I wrong then when I say?
I would say you're just wrong. Yeah. Yes, they do celebrate Christmas, Easter, but if you ask like, what's Easter? Oh, something with Jesus. Yeah.
Oh.
Christmas, yeah, Jesus was born. Oh, who's Jesus? Son of God. But is he a God himself? No, he's the Son of God. Oh, okay. So nominally, yeah. But
I was hoping that I would.
no.
Okay.
So
I stand corrected.
I was positively shocked when I got to the US that there are a lot of people that I meet that come to my podcast, etc., that can quote the Bible. They can say, in that book, in that chapter, that verse says this, and that. You will never hear that. I want to say you will never hear that in post-USSR. So you, as Americans here, you are more educated. You read the Bible. You know what's up more than Europe, I want to say, Eastern Europe.
Well, there are two kinds of writing that I've written about the Bible. Number one, I've written about 10% of the Bible in newspaper format. And that Bible publication is called The Testament Spectator. Working at the California Newspaper Publishers Association those 5 years really taught me how to put together a newspaper. So I would work on my job during the daytime, and I would go home, and I got desktop publishing, and I created Testament Spectator editions on Moses and the Exodus, Joshua and the Jericho Conquest, Gideon, Samson. The entire book of 1 Samuel is in Bible newspaper, Jonah as well, and a 48-page, 125 story on the life of Jesus Christ. So anybody that goes to my Ronald F. Owens JR.com website as my free gift to those who go to my website, they can download any of those 7 PDFs. They can send it to the printer, tell the printer to print it, enlarge it by 11 by 17, print back to back, staple it together, and they can read the Testament Spectator like a newspaper. The second set of writings is I put myself in the shoes or sandals of Bible characters, and I'm telling their story. So I've written a small book called Judas Betrayer of Jesus, or I put myself in Judas's sandals, and I'm explaining in 3 chapters. Chapter number 1, why I betrayed Jesus. Another chapter, how I betrayed him. And the 3rd chapter, the consequences of betraying him. So those 3 chapters in Judas Betrayer of Jesus and my Lucifer Enemy of God, which is an overview of the entire Old Testament, is all together in my Spectators of Jesus the Christ book, where I take 17 men, Judas was among them, and 9 women, and I'm telling the story in the first person as if I'm the one who crucified Jesus, the Roman centurion, or I betrayed Jesus as in Judas, or I was the one who was Herod. I'm Herod, and I wanted Jesus to entertain me, you know.
His point of view.
Right, or Pontius Pilate, or pretending as if Pontius Pilate had a diary. This is my conversation, This is my conversation about Jesus. A couple of other books I've written in the first person is Noah, Preparer of the Ark. I put myself in Noah's sandals, and I'm explaining to the reader what happened, why God flooded the earth, how I built the ark. And so someone said, when you wrote that book, I bet you did a lot of research. No.
Just the Bible.
I just basically relied on the Bible. And I asked the Holy Spirit to inspire me. And basically, the process of me building the ark is how we build it today, you know? And another book I wrote is called Story of Rich Man and Lazarus. And I used that particular book to share the horrors of hell and heaven, all based upon Scripture. The rich man, he's a billionaire who lives in today. And the homeless man, or Lazarus, he was a Christian. He fell away. He came back. So that's what that book is about. And I use real life incidents in my family to memorialize those incidents and making that as literary fodder for telling both of those stories. So all of my books are available in paperback. They're all available in ebook. And except for Lucifer, Enemy of God, they're also available in audiobook.
So, Ronald, you're 68, right?
I'm 68.
And you hold a celibacy.
Yes, sir.
How come? When did you decide to do that, and why?
I was raised by my parents, and according to the Bible, not to be involved until you get married.
Mm-hmm.
I've always wanted to be married. It hasn't happened. I do have a significant other, but I'll leave that private. But I have not wanting to displease my God by sleeping around. So I've lived a very celibate life. It's been a difficult life. I have passions just like any other man.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a struggle trying to keep those passions in check. Back in the day, it was so easy to go to the store and find pornography behind the counter, you know?
Easy back in the day.
Back in the day, it was so difficult.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's what I was
sorry.
thinking. Like,
I'm sorry. Thanks for correcting me. Sometimes I misspeak,
Okay.
you know? Thank you. So back in the day, it was more difficult to find pornography. Today, it's just one click of a mouse. And as a man, I like looking at beautiful women just like the next guy. I'm just saying, you know? So I have to be careful that I don't linger too long when I open up an ad or open up social media and there's a woman.
How about watching a movie? You almost can watch a movie nowadays without seeing a sex scene.
Yeah.
Which has nothing to do with the plot.
Right.
Just a sex scene.
And now they're throwing this
LGBT.
Exactly. I mean, you're watching a movie, just want to escape.
You're right.
And then all of a sudden, there's a subplot where these two characters, oh my God. And they always seem to place it when you get sucked into the story,
Right.
you know? But yeah, it's everywhere. But answering your question, it's just, I'm trying to live a righteous life. And I don't want to come across like I'm better than anybody because I am a virgin. It's challenging. It really is. But doing the right thing is challenging. Doing the easy thing is not challenging, but the wages of sin is death.
Mm-hmm. Have you ever thought of becoming a monk?
No.
Never.
No.
That's just because that's Catholics?
No. I want to love and to be loved by a woman. I've never had the desire of wanting to remain celibate and live a monastic life. I want to feel what it is to love and to be loved by a woman of God.
Yeah, but you're only 68, right? Especially in this day and age. I mean, people live up to, your dad is 93.
Yeah.
So you have at least like 30 years.
Exactly. Yeah. So thank you for asking me that question. You have some great questions, by the way.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
What do regular people, let's say Californians, have no idea about the public health? What do they take it for granted, or they think this is like, they care for us by default? What do they
I think what people need to do is to be critical thinkers. Don't accept everything that you're told as gospel. particularly don't be afraid by a fear. Matter of fact, I recommend people turn off local news, turn off network news, because it's constantly fear, 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 fear.
War here,
War.
war over here.
Exactly, yeah. And they're pitting people against one another.
Right.
And we have a lot more in common with each other than what is being presented. So, but yeah, critical thinking. I mean, something just doesn't feel right. Putting a mask on. I mean, I'm not the smartest person on the planet, Apollo, and I'm comfortable saying that.
Me too.
But something that's going to restrict me from breathing, we need to have common sense. And unfortunately, people are persuaded by influencers, by sports stars, by Hollywood A-listers, telling us to get vaccinated or to wear a mask. Or we had a former governor saying, I think he said, drop the F-bomb.
No, he says, screw your freedom.
Screw your free will.
Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
Screw your freedom.
Did he say screw or did he say F?
No, he says screw.
Okay.
Screw your freedom.
I mean, that's contrary to the Constitution.
Right. And I believe the guy fled from Austria or Germany because there was no freedom.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I can understand people falling for this right in the very beginning, right? Yeah, but you should wear a mask. Yeah, maybe for a month, 2 or 3. And then you see that nothing is changing. And then you see the rollout. And then you see a year after that more and more people just die suddenly. And then you don't connect those two. Yeah. I just wonder if they will try to pull this off one time, let's say in a year or 2, and whether they will succeed.
I hope not. And I think that what I'm doing from going from county to county is I'm planting seeds which I may not even see grow, but I'm causing people to think that if they do something like this again, am I going to comply?
What do you think that was in the first place? Do you think that was just basically earning a lot of money for big pharma companies, or this was like a type of
excellent question.
Obedience? Will you obey everything we tell you? And not about, I was shocked that it was, let's say, it was not only in the US, not only in California, it was worldwide.
Right.
Every country did the same step, to the extent more or less, but there were restrictions worldwide in every country.
Apollo, my bosses were telling me or instructing me or didactically finger-wagging, stop sharing your personal beliefs. My personal belief? Yeah, there was the pecuniary interest of big pharma making a lot of money, but above that, I believe that it was a depopulation agenda.
For what reason? Because I have traveled, me and my family have traveled by car to Arizona, Utah, Nevada, north to Lake Tahoe in California, right? A lot of places where people can build new cities, new town, villages, and live there. So it's basically, we do have land. Prior to living in the US, we lived in Spain for 2 years and traveled from south coast to east coast to the middle of the country to Madrid. Lots of places to build new towns and cities. So there is a place to live for all of us. So why do you think they want to depopulate the planet?
Well, they think there's just too many of us. There's a TED Talk with Bill Gates, 2010 TED Talk. And he says that there are too many people. I'm paraphrasing, but I do have the exact quote I can share with you.
But he did say that, yes.
There are too many people, but if it's going up to certain billions of people more, but if we try really hard, we can lower that. Lower that. That phrase is so benign.
Lower.
But lower means killing folks.
Probably one of these numbers is going to have to get pretty near to 0. That's back from high school algebra. But let's take a look. First, we've got population. The world today has 6.8 billion people. That's headed up to about 9 billion. Now, if we do a really great job on new vaccines, healthcare, reproductive health services, we could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%.
But he said it so casually. If we try really hard, we can lower that with the first thing out of his mouth is vaccines.
Or make people not wanting to procreate.
That too.
Or making them wanting to procreate but not being able to because of the health problems.
Well, yeah, but he's basically, yeah. As a matter of fact, back to the Pfizer papers, the Naomi Wolf, Amy Kelly book,
Mm-hmm.
she made a presentation, and I'm talking about Dr. Naomi Wolf. This is November, could have been latter part of August or October. Her audience was in Europe, and there's a lot of shocking things that Pfizer knew. The headline that really resonated with me is this. When a female girl is created, she's going to have all of her eggs at 22 weeks. That's
Weeks.
Weeks. That's all the eggs she will ever have throughout her life.
Mm-hmm.
Pfizer knew that the vaccine, and I can't think of the verb, is it destroy those eggs, mess up those eggs? It's going to have effect on her ability when she becomes a woman to have kids. And Pfizer knew this.
But do you realize, Ronald, that they're working on so different levels? Let's say they're doing this. Let's say allegedly they're doing this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then they're doing this with the money supply, printing money so inflation goes way up high. Then they made women work. 50 years ago, women weren't working, or 70 years ago, now women work, and even two parents can provide for the family. In 1950s to 60s, one parent, one father could provide for the whole family, right? To own a house, own an automobile, and provide for food and shelter. Now, even two parents can do that. So financial burden, why would we have kids? Or why would we have, let's say, 2 or 3 kids when it's so, not safe, war everywhere. It's so expensive to raise children.
Mm-hmm.
And even if we want to, we're not able to because of the health problems that we have.
I tell, if I ever have kids, they're not taking a one vaccine. Not a one. I believe that the best vaccine for a newborn child is breastfed. That's the best vaccine. Sunlight.
And fresh air.
Fresh air, playing in the dirt. That's, I mean, if you look at the Amish.
Right. That's a good example.
Look at how healthy they are. Matter of fact.
I want to say they don't know the word autism.
They don't even know what that means?
Well, maybe they do know, but it's not that common in their community.
Yeah. Matter of fact, it would behoove us to find an Amish community and move near them. Teach us how to live off the land. I mean,
right.
What do I know how to do? Go to a grocery store and shop. But fishing or hunting or whatever.
If shit hits the fan?
Yeah.
I don't know how to hunt.
And I know. Yeah.
And we have this amazing nature right here in California. We can hunt.
Uh-huh.
We can do fishing. We just don't know how to.
Yeah.
Maybe we should start.
I think the system is basically anti-family. The system is erected against the family. It's hard to have a family, and that's intentional. It's hard to fund a family, and that's intentional. And if the baby does survive an abortion, if the baby does survive the vaccines, then they're hit with these tablets and these smartphones and these computer stuff, where I understand that it affects a developed developmental child's ability to think and process if they're exposed to those images prior to proper development. And then there's the indoctrination at schools. There's so much against a child. There's so much against a family. I mean, my hat tip and applause to you being a father and all the other fathers out there who are good men and trying to do right, raising a family. Our society does not honor you men enough.
You know what I see in the last 2 to 3 years, the pendulum is swinging in the other direction. And what I see amongst our friends here in the US, more and more people are homeschooling their own kids. It's not that easy. We do homeschool as well. And me too, and other families too, they raise their children very old school. Very old school. Smartphones at 7 years old? No. Outside, playing, doing bicycle, doing this, running, playing hide and seek, all that stuff.
Yeah.
More time during the daytime, the sun, fresh air, food, no potato chips, no sweets, no all that stuff. And I feel, and I see it amongst my friends in the last 2 to 3 years, they're getting more and more old school. Because I believe my generation, I was born in '88, so I'm a millennial. I believe we were the ones that were raised a bit different. And we saw how can this change the people's lives when they get the smartphones very early, when they don't have any discipline, they don't work out, they don't go outside, they don't know how to talk to people, they don't know how to have a decent conversation, they don't know how to look to other human beings into their eyes and express their opinions. And I believe our generation saw that and we're like, no, this is not what we're doing with our own kids. So I believe the pendulum is swinging the other way right now.
I believe you're right. Yeah. My niece is homeschooling her 2 daughters.
With her?
Yeah.
How old are the kids?
Good question. I don't know. Gosh. About 10 and 8 respectively, I believe, or could be 12 and 10 respectively.
So in regard to homeschooling, I figured out one thing. So I was in the school for 12 years. So 12 years, 9 months in a year, 5 days a week, 8 hours a day for 12 years. I was supposed to be a genius, and I'm not. How can you teach something for 12 years, 5 days a week, 9 months a year, and people graduate school basically knowing nothing about themselves, knowing shit, what they are, and what do they want to do in their life, what profession to choose, and if they do know what profession they want to pursue, how to do it. 12 years. 12 years. That's insane. You should be genius.
If I had a child, son or daughter, I would insist on 3 things that I didn't accomplish when I was a youngster. Number 1, learn a foreign language. Number 2, learn a trade.
Right.
And number 3, learn how to play an instrument.
An instrument?
Yes. I believe if a child has those 3 things, he or she can navigate in any social circle in life.
Okay. So I have a bit different opinion. So what I'm teaching my son already is how to communicate. Because I believe the best money that you can earn, not being in love with the money, but just learning money to provide for the family, is by doing sales. It doesn't matter whether you do sales, real estate, automobiles, or something online. But in order to be a good salesman, you have to know how to treat people and how to communicate with them. If you can start a conversation, you can sell. And then you just choose what kind of product do you like the most. New cars, used cars, real estate, mansions, houses, townhomes, what? And I believe you can provide this. And I believe still with the AI progressing that much and that quickly, salesmen are going to be around still in 20 years.
Well, that's good.
But even if you teach something like a trade, be a plumber,
Yeah.
it's never going to be changed or replaced with an AI. Never. Or electrician, there's no way.
Yeah.
Those people are going to be in need.
Unless the robots that they have. Does Elon Musk have robot construction workers? I hope not.
I hope not.
Yeah.
I don't think they can build something decent. Let's say, so the last question on our podcast is always the same. Let's have two assumptions with you. Assumption number one is, let's say the President of the United States of America is the most powerful human being on planet Earth. Assumption number two is you become one. You become the President of the US. Once you do so, you have all those secret agencies, three-letter agencies at your disposal. CIA, FBI, CDC, HHS, all that. They come to you and say, congratulations, Mr. President, we love you, we're on your side, you're the president now, and we know all the answers in the world. We know everything. You ask us, and we give you an honest answer. What would be your first question?
Gosh.
Take your time, no worries.
See, my first question. Why did you assassinate John F. Kennedy?
Why? Not who, but why.
Why?
Do you know who?
I suspect I know the who, but why?
Who, you mean organization?
I suspect the who was the CIA, but why?
Why do you think why?
I think because he posed an existential threat to them. But I want to hear
The agency?
Yeah. But I want to hear that from them. Because as to the why, it's probably why they would assassinate me.
Right. For asking too many
So I need to
questions.
know. I need to know. I need to see them coming. That's why the why.
Okay, let's say they agree with you and they say, yeah, we did that. And this is the reason. The reason is X. But you as a president of the US, having this influence, at least over US citizen, would you expose it to the public?
Yeah, I would.
Don't,
And let me go back to your question and why I responded to JFK. I was in Washington, D.C. doing John F. Kennedy's assassination. My dad was stationed there. I was 6 years old. And he would have marched in that parade, but they had too many French horns, so he didn't march in that parade. But I remember my mom taking my eldest sister, myself, my younger sister, and my brother. I remember standing in line. How old was your son?
right now?
Uh-huh.
He's almost 7.
Okay, so I was about his age, maybe a little bit younger. I remember standing in line. It was cold and looking at Kennedy's grave. I remember that as a kid. So that was a very momentous incident for many of us who were alive then. We remember where we were, and that has been the prevailing question all our lives. Not the who, but the why, everything about it, actually. So back to if I would divulge that to the American people, I would. I'm a very transparent person. You ask a very, very personal question, and I responded because I'm a transparent person. You asked me about my celibacy, and I wrote about it and posted it. That was probably my last blog on my RonaldFOwensJR.com for those who want to read about that particular post. The point I'm trying to make, Apollo, if I am honest enough to share something personal as me being a celibate person, that's how I would conduct myself if I was president or any other political official. And that's what I would have liked for the California Department of Public Health, to be transparent, to be open, to not lie. And that's another reason why I retired, because I did not want to participate in the lie. They muzzled me. But if I had stayed there, I would have muzzled myself. And that's why my book is called Muzzled Truth. So yeah, I'm free and transparent to talk about my choice of remaining celibate, and that is a healthy lifestyle to live, cuts down on sexually transmitted diseases. It prevents heartache and pain because you're sleeping with another person and going from person to person to person, and that causes trauma and emotional baggage.
And drama, a lot of drama.
Drama too, yeah.
Do you think there is racism in 2025 in America?
Yes and no. Yes, because it's talked about so much. I remember when I was a kid, I didn't care about I had a friend who was Mexican. I don't remember having Asian friends, but anybody that I didn't look at race. And I think that race is something that is taught by adults who have the issues. I think if you got to throw a bunch of kids together,
They don't care.
they don't care.
Right.
Just like when I was a kid, I didn't care.
Well, I don't care right now.
I don't, yeah. And when I make the point about we know these vaccines are killing people of color, as I noted in the early part of our conversation, the fact that these vaccines are killing people, that
Period, yeah.
Period. So I think that race is something that is played up by politicians, pitting people against one another. And I think that's unfortunate. I think that's what makes it a race, why we may have more racism, because it's talked about more.
Would you say racism was increased during Obama era?
Oh, definitely.
Increased.
Oh, yeah.
But he ran on this.
Yeah.
But he is about to decline.
I think that he was put in place to stir the pot.
For what reason? He was already elected as a president.
There are forces, in my personal belief, that want the downfall of the United States. And the United States is the last bastion. I really am irritated when I hear politicians say that the United States is a democracy. No, the United States is not a democracy. The United States is a constitutional republic. A democracy, I didn't make this up.
51% dictated less.
That too, but democracy are two wolves and a chicken having a conversation, what's for dinner?
Okay.
I didn't make that up, okay? I don't know who made that up, but that's the definition of a democracy. So I believe that Obama and other presidents are put there by more powerful people. And this organized COVID thing that was worldwide,
Right.
that was planned. That wasn't by accident. And I think that COVID-19 was the precursor, and what they really wanted to do to cull the herd, there's just too many of us useless feeders, is basically they want to kill us. Some have died, some people are dying, and some people, and I just was listening to Michelle Spencer, your interview with her, and she said something that I didn't really think about, that there are babies who do survive their mom or their dad being taken the vaccine, coming out of the womb with missing limbs. I didn't know that. I did not know that. So there's a whole generation of people that are going to be, it's sad. It brings me to tears, Apollo. And this is what fuels me going from county to county.
Would you say fatherlessness is killing the Black community here in America?
Oh, yeah.
Why? Why so many kids, Black kids, are being raised without fathers?
Well, Have to ask LBJ, President Lyndon Johnson. Prior to the civil rights movement, if you look at Black history, there was this very strong Black middle class, very strong Black Black men working in factories in Michigan, in the Rust Belt. But when some of these automotive manufacturers went elsewhere, and the places like Detroit, all these other inner city places like St. Louis, Missouri, and other, it's just caused Black men to trying to find another way to make a living, selling drugs. And then the welfare state, and then when we reference LBJ, he was the one that pushed the welfare state, where the father became the government. And for a woman to receive benefits from the government, she wasn't allowed to have her husband or the father of her kids around. So the government became the fathers.
But why did it impact mostly Blacks, not the whites?
I think that the Black people, when they were strong middle class, was a threat, an economic threat.
How come?
I don't know.
The voting class?
Could be racism. Could be that they began to tamper with the social engineering of destroying the United States, and they started with the Black community first.
But the Blacks used to have strong families, right?
Yeah.
Grandmas and granddads.
Yeah.
If grandma said something, it's like a law.
Oh, yeah, yeah. And there's still strong families in the Black community.
Of course.
Yeah. My late 106-year-old maternal grandmother, she died 10 years ago this month. She was one of them, a strong grandmother figure. My mom was a very strong maternal figure. My dad was a strong father figure, and I've learned more about him since my mom went to heaven. But he was kind of in the background. He was the force behind my mom.
She was working.
Pardon me?
She was working?
No, she was stay-at-home mom.
Mm-hmm.
She worked a couple of times, but for the most part, majority of our lives, she raised us. And that's why we're good people, I believe. And I'm old-fashioned. I believe that the man is to be the breadwinner, and the women stay at home and raise the kids. That's a very important role in society, raising good children.
And it's a tough one.
It's a lot tougher than clocking out,
Right.
Working 8 to 5. I mean, I afforded respect to fathers moments ago. Quite naturally, I afford a lot of respect to mothers, particularly homeschool mothers, and working mothers as well.
Right.
But
somehow, some way, they manipulated the women, telling them, "You stay home, you raise children."
I was like, that's a put down. Yeah, that's.
You should go to work. You should pay some taxes.
Yeah.
You should obey some boss, some asshole that doesn't care for you. And that man that's waiting for you at home, he's not the boss. Don't listen to him.
Yeah.
Don't read the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
The Lord? Who's the Lord? The government is the Lord.
Exactly.
That's who you should listen to. That's who you should obey, not Jesus.
Yeah.
Would you say whites hate blacks or blacks hate whites, or is it just a narrative on the internet?
I think a lot of it social media is stirring the pot. Yes, there are some black antagonism against whites and against blacks, but I just think it's not. I think it's just stirring the pot by politicians and their agenda. And then we've got movies showing it, got social media perpetuating it. But you walk out, I walk in all these board chambers. they don't look at me as a black man or I'm looking at them as a white person. We're just people talking. I mean, I walk up to there and do I have to fill out a card to speak before the board of supervisors, you know? I met all kinds of friendly people. I mean, I'm that kind of person anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't look at race.
You're more hopeful or hopeless right now in 2025, in the end of 2025?
I always like to have hope in Jesus. But yet I understand that according to end time prophecy, things are playing out like it states in the Bible. So while my hope is in Jesus, I'm not optimistic that our society will get better because that's how it's prophesied. It doesn't necessarily mean that I'm not to strive to share hope or be optimistic or, you know, be optimistic, but I'm concerned about how our society, what direction it's headed in. I'm concerned about it's becoming more acceptable that boys are to compete in girls' sports. I'm concerned about trying to convince children to change their gender. That's diabolical. It's demonic. It's satanic. And I think that's what's behind it. And some of these politicians, they're driven by a demonic agenda. And I believe that they're doing what they're doing is because they hate God. They hate the innocence of babies. They hate families. You notice in a lot of TV series and movies and commercials, fathers are always made fun of. They're the brunt of jokes. Anytime you see a man and a woman in bed, it's not usually in a marriage. And if there isn't a marriage, they're both ugly. All this is intentional.
Right. Losers, obese.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's why.
But here I am, a bachelor. I'm going around from one girl to another.
Yeah. That's supposed to be cool.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was portrayed, let's say, since, 1994, I want to say, with Friends season 1, right? Mm-hmm. Did you watch Friends? There was this character, Joey. He was promiscuous. But that was like almost 30 years ago.
Yeah, yeah.
Not only, but 30 years ago.
They're telling us, that's called, I don't know, this is not my saying, but television. Someone said it means tell a vision.
Right.
And program is like you're being programmed.
Yes.
So.
Television programming, yes.
Yeah.
Ronald, thank you for coming from Sacramento. God bless you.
Thank you for having me.
I just hope that all the things that you pray for before going to bed, I hope you're going to get those things. And I hope that public health will get better. Because I'm not a citizen of the US, right? Mm-hmm. But what I see here, a lot of people are literally insane and crazy. And this is the problem of public health.
It is.
There being all the meds, multiple pills, multiple medicine. It has to stop. It has to be changed.
I mean, if I were to propose at CDPH that they have some sort of celibacy program, they would have laughed at it. I did think about it throughout the years. I mean, at public health, what are they pushing? Needle exchange, men having sex with men safely. That's not healthy.
Read the Bibles, guys.
Yeah.
And start with the gospel. It's the most easy, I want to say, to read books, and they're the most influential. Just get to know Jesus Christ.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.